You know, throughout history, magic has always worn two masks. One is this face of absolute terror, a pact with evil that promises nothing but damnation. But the other? Well, the other is a face of profound wisdom, a secret science that promises enlightenment. So today, we're going to peel back both of those masks and try to figure out how these two completely contradictory worlds could possibly exist at the very same time.
Okay, let's just dive right into the deep end, shall we? This isn't some fairy tale. This is the deadly serious belief of John Stern, an associate of England's so-called witchfinder general. For him, and for the courts in the 17th century, magic wasn't an illusion. Oh no. It was treason against God, and the only possible sentence was death.
So here's our roadmap. First, we're going to step into the mind of the witchfinder and see magic as this demonic threat. Then we'll do a complete 180 and look at it from the occultist perspective, who saw it as a hidden science. After that, we'll dig into the history that let these two views clash. And finally, we'll explore a more modern idea that magic is actually a map of the human mind itself.
Let's start with the perspective of pure fear. We're entering a world where evil is not just some abstract concept. It's a real external force that walks the earth. And its agents, well, they have to be hunted down.
You have to understand, for people in his era, the devil wasn't a metaphor. He was a real player in everyday life, actively making bargains for people's souls. And witchcraft was the physical proof of that bargain. It was a rejection of God that threatened the very fabric of society. So, naturally, it was prosecuted with the full, terrifying force of the law.
Now, what's fascinating here is just how methodical they were. I mean, this wasn't just random pointing and shouting. Witchfinders like Stern operated with a checklist. They'd search a person's body for a devil's mark, a spot where you could stick a pin and they'd feel no pain, draw no blood. They'd listen for stories about familiars, these little spirits disguised as cats or rabbits. And the ultimate prize, the final checkmark, was getting a confession of a pact with Satan. It was a cold, systematic investigation. And the confessions they extracted were just wild. This one comes straight from Stern's own records. So, a guy loses his purse. He's desperate. And then this creature appears. It looks like a bear, but it's no bigger than a rabbit. And it offers to find his purse for a price. And that price is worship. And just like that, an everyday misfortune gets twisted into a diabolical conspiracy that leads him straight to the gallows.
Okay, I want you to completely shift gears with me now, because at the exact same time the witch hunts were raging, a totally different idea about magic was flourishing, mostly in secret. And this wasn't about deals with demons. It was about understanding the universe.
You see, the word occult just means hidden. That's all. For these occultists, magic was the study of the hidden laws of the universe. They saw the cosmos as this incredibly complex, interconnected machine. And they believed that if you could just learn its rules through things like astrology and numerology, you could work with the universe, not against God. This table just captures the difference in worldview perfectly. Instead of a witchfinder's checklist of crimes, we get this, a table of cosmic order. The occultist Sephriel is laying out how planets connect to zodiac signs, and how those signs connect to parts of the human body. This isn't the chaotic work of some demon. It's a vision of a perfectly balanced, deeply interconnected system. To them, the universe wasn't evil. It was a book just waiting to be read.
And look at this process. It's practically a scientific method. You calculate things, you consult tables, you interpret the data based on established rules. This is an intellectual discipline, something that requires math and years of study. It is the absolute polar opposite of making a desperate bargain in the dark with a bear rabbit. This is a quest for knowledge, not power born from malice.
And what's really important to get is that this system wasn't naive. It wasn't all love and light. It absolutely acknowledged both positive and negative forces. Kabbalistic astrology even gave you a way to figure out the good angel and the evil spirit that were influencing your life. But the goal wasn't to surrender to the evil one. It was about understanding and finding balance. It was about knowing all the forces at play so you can navigate your life with wisdom. Which, of course, brings us to the central puzzle of this whole thing. How do these two completely opposed realities, magic as a crime punishable by death and magic as a science worthy of study, manage to exist at the same time? No, seriously, how is that even possible? On one street, a person is being executed for owning a weird cat, and maybe just a few blocks away, a scholar is secretly poring over celestial charts to understand the exact same cosmic forces. The answer, as it so often does, lies in a history of shifting power, belief, and the law. This timeline really shows us the whole arc.
The paranoia was kicked off from the very top. King James I himself wrote a book saying, yes, witches are real, and yes, we need to prosecute them. It all hit a fever pitch during the chaos of the English Civil War. But then, slowly, the tide started to turn. By the early 1700s, the legal and intellectual elites were just kind of over it. And it all culminates in a royal pardon that basically shut the door on the whole deadly era in England.
Okay, so let's put them side by side, one last time. On one hand, you have witchcraft. It's seen as a total surrender of your will to an evil force, an act of rebellion. It causes harm, and it's proven by forced confessions. Then, you have occultism. That's all about the exercise of will. It's a study of hidden laws to gain knowledge. It's based on complex, scholarly systems. I mean, they're two different worlds, orbiting the same mysterious idea.
So, how do we make sense of all this today? Well, a more modern perspective suggests we might have been looking in the wrong place the whole time. What if the real source of magic isn't in heaven or in hell, but inside our own heads? This quote from the famous and infamous 20th century occultist Aleister Crowley just nails this psychological shift. What if gods and devils aren't literal beings out there somewhere, but are actually powerful symbols for different parts of our own consciousness? You know, our highest hopes and our darkest fears. When you look at it this way, the tools of the magician become tools of psychology. The will is just what we'd call focused intent. The imagination is a power of visualization. Concentration is basically a form of meditation. And all the symbols, the wands, the tarot cards, they aren't for summoning spirits. They're for focusing your own mind and unlocking the power of your subconscious.
So ultimately, this reframes the entire thing. The real goal of the occultist, when seen through this modern lens, is self-mastery. It's really an ancient system of applied psychology. It's a path to understanding and integrating the hidden, or occult, parts of yourself to create real change, both inside and out.
So they've gone from demonic pacts to cosmic science, and finally to the inner world of the mind. It seems like magic has always been a mirror, reflecting what we fear the most and what we hope for most deeply. So the real question for us is this. In our age of science and technology, what does our continuing, maybe even growing fascination with magic tell us about the fears and hopes we're still carrying around today?